If you've ever driven along a dead straight stretch of British road and wondered why it refuses to bend with the land, you might have been following a decision made almost 2,000 years ago. The Romans didn't just conquer Britain, they carved it with roads that still defy hills, rivers, and even reason. They imposed not just movement, but order. But why did they do it? And what did it mean for the people already living here? We'll come to that question of resistance, both political and topographical, soon enough. But first, let me take you back to a frozen morning on the outskirts of Eboracum, where one man with a wax tablet and a measuring rod was about to redraw part of the island forever. Before Rome came, there were paths, ancient, shifting, and often seasonal. Traders and travellers used the land like water, flowing with the contours rather than cutting through them. These were the green roads, the holloways and the ridgeways. They were flexible, local, and often sacred. But with conquest came control. The Romans needed to move troops, messengers, goods, and governors fast. Straightness was not just a feature of Roman roads, it was a philosophy. So how did they start? And why did they care so much about straight lines? Lucius Severus wasn't born in Britannia. He was a second-generation Roman from Lugdunum, now Lyon, who trained as a surveyor before earning his commission in the north. When Hadrian decided to draw a literal line across the island, a wall, Lucius was the man sent ahead to make sure the roads could support it. His job wasn't just technical, it was deeply political. He had to negotiate with local tribe leaders, requisition labour from the conquered population, and translate imperial ambition into physical infrastructure. Lucius believed in the power of the road. Where the road goes, he wrote in a surviving letter, so too does the law. But what did those roads really mean for the people they cut through? To Lucius, the roads were veins of civilization. But to the Britons, especially those in the hills and the wilds, there was something else entirely. We know from archaeology and limited written records that Roman roads sometimes disrupted farming patterns, bisected sacred landscapes, and even relocated entire communities. Lucius's crew often met resistance, not always violent, but stubborn. Cattle would be walked across newly laid stone until the paths cracked. Workers would deliberately underpack the foundation layers. Stone deliveries would go missing. Lucius had a tactic for this. He brought in local boys as an apprentice surveyors. If they helped map the line, they might feel less like it was being drawn against them. Did it work? Not always. But some of those same local lads, once enemies of the road, ended up maintaining them long after Rome had gone. So how far did those roads reach? And what happened when Rome left? Even after the legions withdrew in the early 5th century, the roads remained. Unlike timber forts or fragile villas, these were built to endure, and they did. Lucius Severus disappears from the record around AD 130, but the roads he marked out, Ermine Street, Watling Street, the Fosse Way, remained in use for centuries. In the Middle Ages, pilgrims followed them to shrines. In the 17th century, Royal Mail coaches thundered down them. And today, major A roads and motorways still shadow their paths. So what does this mean? Why didn't Britain rip them up after the invaders left? Because in the end, infrastructure outlives ideology. The roads became part of the landscape, not foreign, but foundational. And yet, for all the stability they offered, they also left scars. What happened to those communities who never welcomed the road in the first place? That's a question for another episode. But first, we need to talk about something else Rome left behind: the fortress. Lucius believed he was laying order over chaos. But like many builders of empires, he underestimated the power of the land to shape people back. The Roman roads carved Britain, but they also carved up Britain. They centralised power, facilitated empire, and imposed a way of life that still affects how we move, build, and govern. Thank you for walking a little further down the road that made Britain with me. The story winds on. Try this one. I think you'll like it. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.